one of the main distinctions that Jehovah Witnesses make is the use of the name Jehovah. I'll never forget, years ago, a Jehovah Witness telling me, hey, how would you feel if a person did not call you by your first name, but only called you sir or dude? And if you don't like that, how do you think Jehovah feels when you don't use his name? Now, it seems simple at first, but it really isn't. The name of God that was revealed, and not to the Watchtower, by the way, but to the Jews, contained only 4 letters, but no vowels. YHWH. As a result, we find that when the name of God appears in our Bible, the scribes did not want to mispronounce the name of God. As a result, they would substitute the YHWH and put the word Lord in its place. And if you read from the reformedjudaism.org, basically they said that we've lost the correct pronunciation of this name. Originally, because our ancestors worried about taking God's name in vain, they would only decree this name on Yom Kippur. The correct pronunciation was lost when the priesthood collapsed with the destruction of the temple in 70 CE. So if only the priesthood knew the proper pronunciation of God's name, then how in the world did the Watchtower know? Now, this is going to seem silly, but my name is Dave. Let's say you only knew the letters D and V of my name, but no one knew for certain what vowels were used in my name. It could be Dave, it could be Dive, Diva, Devo. Now, I'd rather have you call me sir or dude than diva. So why would God be any different? See, a name is based on relationship. My wife seldom calls me by my first name. She usually says, hey, hon. And yet, that's not disrespectful at all because of our relationship. Yet both of my kids either call me dad or father. They don't call me by my first name, and most children are the same way with their father because of the relationship they have. And if I say father, it doesn't mean all the other fathers are confused because I recognize the voice of my child. I believe the Apostle Paul said it best on how a Christian we are to address God. Galatians 4:6, and because ye are sons, God has set forth the Spirit of His Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. You can also see Romans 8:15. Now, the name of God has 4 letters, so there's a lot more possibilities when you add different vowels to it. There's a lot that could be said concerning the way Jehovah was a made-up name by a Catholic monk, and that deserves to be looked into. See, my purpose is not to take away from some very valid points that people have made, but I'm going to come at a different angle and hammer one point that may not be used often, or I haven't seen it yet. The apostles of Jesus gave more importance to the name of Jesus than Jehovah. In fact, the name of Jesus is only name given in order for us to be saved, according to Acts 4:12. And if you really want to give glory to Jehovah, saying Jesus is Lord is what he requires according to the book of Philippians. However, I want to look at an angle on an issue and drive this home. To begin with, if only the high priest would pronounce the name of God on a certain day, then that would mean that the average believer in the Old Testament didn't. So why would it be so important to say Jehovah if the priesthood didn't teach the people to do so? And they only said it once a year by the high priest. But to build upon that, how did Jesus address God? Well, in the Gospels, the word God, Lord, and Father are mentioned over 200 times apiece. They're not all referring to Jehovah God, obviously. But the Watchtower would have a hard time with Jehovah on Jesus' lips outside of quoting passages from the Old Testament. Remember what Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. So why the lack of Jehovah or the name of God on the lips of Jesus? Consider the over 5,500 of the oldest New Testament transcripts we have. They do not contain any mention of the divine name. Now, the Jehovah Witnesses claim that the original writings of the New Testament have them, and they simply restore them. However, if only the high priest mentioned the name of God, and only once a year, then here's my big question. If Jehovah is the name of God, and Jesus declared it, then why they did not take up stones to stone him as they did when he declared before Abraham was, I am. Remember, God told Moses to say, I am has sent thee. I see no reference in the New Testament that proves that Jesus declared the sacred name of God to his followers, but that he did declare his Father as our Father, and Jesus was the great I am in the flesh.